I'm Anya, and on this channel I will mostly talk about church modes and their use in music that was written after the Renaissance period, the modal era, so to say. There are some pieces which have been written in Renaissance style, but that's not what I want to talk about. We still may have a look at some of those, as it could be interesting how much of an effect the period the piece has been written in has on the music itself, or if it's just plain Palestrina style. The biggest difference between modal music and tonal music is that tonal music is chord oriented and modal music isn't. So the question is, can you actually write a chord oriented piece with a modal scale? And what has to be different compared to tonal music? Questions to be answered are: which modes go together like major minor, which would be Ionian Aeolian in modal, like talking? How do you change keys within a piece? What's with the dominant? In modal music there is a note called repercussio that has a dominant function in a piece, and it's not necessarily the fifth note, although in a lot of modes it is. So will that one be a thing in a, for example, modal classical sonata? Or will note number 5 just be the second dominant note to the finalis, which is the bass note of a scale? This is especially interesting regarding Phrygian mode, in which there would be a natural diminished chord on the 5th scale degree. This is not exactly a major problem, as from figured bass arrangements we know that the 5th is not really necessary. So you could just leave that one out in 5/1 cadences. Or else, as the dominant in minor-like scales is a major chord anyways, you could maybe just go with a regular 5th instead. The only musical form in which this would definitely matter would be a fugue in Phrygian mode. So I might have to do a test one time. I won't go deep in this video, but I would like to introduce a visualization that I made in the progress. It shows the modes and the accidentals they have. Making this table sort of answered some of the question on its own, so the thing now would be to verify the answers. You can see the accidentals vertically and the bass notes or finale horizontally. Existing keys are marked with the letter L for Lydian, E, I for Ionian, and so on. For Locrian, I had to use the O because the L is already occupied by Lydian. And Locrian does not really count as a mode, so it's grayed out for that reason. The violet ones are the major keys and the petrol ones the minor keys. The upper 3 are major-like keys, the lower 3 the minor-like keys. What I found interesting is the fact that major and minor are both in the middle of their trio. When I had finished it, I thought that the smoothest way of changing keys would be to not go directly diagonal, but instead include the one that connects both of the keys. For example, when you want to switch from G to C. Now there are 2 different options. You can do G, C Lydian, C, or G, G mixer Lydian, C. Although both of them would work somehow, the second one is the more stable option, as the 5/1 cadenza is at the end and not in the beginning. So what does this mean? You can start with G, one sharp, switch to G, no accidentals, and then go on to C with no accidentals. Does that sound familiar? That's what we all learn on how to switch keys in tonal music. Obviously, going down, which would be adding Bs or removing sharps, works with Mixolydian mode. Going up would be adding sharps or removing Bs, would accordingly work with Lydian mode. So the other possibility of switching from G to C would be G, C, Lydian, C would work better the other way around. So C, C, Lydian, G. This also means that Mixolydian and Lydian mode are a bit unstable, as they have the tendency to lead to another key. Interestingly, this difference in stability isn't as big in the minor-like modes as it is in the major-like ones. The reason might be that the minor key isn't as stable as major key, and our ears are more trained to a mix of scales in minor-based music. It's totally common to have Dorian mode parts in minor keys. We learned it as melodic scale, but basically it's Dorian with a major 7 instead of a regular 7. Let's have a short look at an actual piece, which would be Bach's Prelude in G from the Well-Tempered Piano 2. This one. Later in the piece we have this sequence of descending fifths. If you mark the chords, you could go like this: A, D, G, C, done. But if you look closer, there are regular Gs in the A bar. That puts at least the end in A Mixolydian. Same with the Cs in D and the Fs in G. In the end of the C bar, there is a F sharp, so we are in C Lydian. In the next chord, you would expect G, but there is actually B natural Phrygian. If we go back to the table, C Lydian is here and B Phrygian here, in the same line. So once you've moved up or down one line, you can freely move around between the modes that share the same accidentals. So now you have a bit of an impression on what I'm up to on this channel. In the videos, I will either have a look at one specific piece or a set of pieces from the same composer, or look at one specific aspect of church modes or church scales and prove that by looking how that is done in different pieces. So that's it for today. Bye.